Hopefully, I'm more liable than I used to be. I'm more caring than I used to be. Big deals aren't big deals anymore. I don't get upset too easily. I found that I can talk to people who are going through difficult situations like that because they know I've been through it, and they'll listen to someone. For 10 years, I've gone to the Miami County Jail to do a jail ministry. Matthew 25:36 says this, I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you healed me. I was in jail, and you visited me. Philippians 4:9 says, whatever you have learned, or received, or heard from me, or seen in me, put into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. Now, since my 5 bypasses, they lasted, by the way, 2 years. Started feeling bad, go back. They were blocked again. I thought, man, I've got to stop eating those Whoppers. They go in and put a stent in. A year and a half later, same problem. It blocked. Go back, they put another stent in. This past July, I was at Cleveland Clinic having another heart cath. And he said, wow, Mr. Haddad, you got a good-looking heart, and you're okay. So I was happy for him. We're almost through. March 2008, I was skiing. I love to ski. Remember, ADD, impatient. I'm racing down a Black Diamond Hill with 3 other guys. And you can't stand to have anybody in front of it when you're racing. So I was in front, and the guy that I was with said, Vic, if you had wings on, it would have slowed you down. I came to a real sharp curve, and for some reason or other, I didn't make the curve. I shot over into a field of rocks. Now, no helmet. I was number 63, that obviously is. And that guy got a helmet. But then I thought, well, the sissies wore helmets. I found out people don't want to live wore helmets. So I go over to this field of rocks. I'm knocked out for 8 minutes. Now the friend I was with stops, and he thinks I'm just kidding. He's hollering, yeah, come on, let's go. Well, he finally takes his skis off, comes over to me, flips me over with his boot. I slide down a little bank and go underwater. Remember, I'm knocked out. He jumps in the water, it's holding my head up. Well, a crowd had gathered by now because the idiot was loose. And one of the people was a nurse, and she said, don't move him, don't move him. He could have serious injuries. By then, the water, I was awake now, and I go, somebody move me, I'm freezing in this water. So they get me out of the water. The ski patrol comes, puts me on the sled, gets me up to where the doctor is. They do preliminary testing and decide we've got to get you to a hospital quick. I said, well, you're the boss. I said, but we got to do something about the pain. This pain was really, really bad. So they give me a morphine shot, put me in the ambulance. Mountains of West Virginia. It takes 45 minutes to get to the nearest hospital. In the ambulance, I talked to the guys and said, guys, we got to do something about the pain. They give me morphine shot number 2. We get to the hospital, they do CAT scans, MRIs, and say, you've got some serious problems, sir. We're calling a helicopter, and we're helicoptering you to the nearest neurosurgery hospital. Well, that's in Virginia. So we go to that hospital in the plane. A new crew there. They don't know I've had 2 morphine shots already. I said, guys, I am in some really bad pain. I need another morphine shot. So after the third morphine shot, I didn't need the helicopter. I could fly by myself. So we get there, and after the test and everything, he says, do you realize how fortunate you are? I said, well, I don't know if I'm fortunate or not. I got the world's worst headache, and I'm not feeling well, and I'm hours from home. He said, well, here's the scoop. You have traumatic subarachnoid hemorrhages and subdural hematomas, which means your brain is bleeding, you've got blood clots and bruises on the brain. He says 40% of the people with these injuries die before they even reach the hospital. I'm released, and he gave me codeine pills to take for the pain. Now I'm on these codeine pills for 3 months. I get addicted to the codeine. It was not a fun thing. You just kind of sit around, moping around. I didn't like the feeling. I'm still doing the jail ministry, and unfortunately, probably 60% of the people in jail are there because of drugs. And those guys were always telling me how difficult it is to stop drugs. Well, the doctor told me, when it's time for you to quit, we'll wean you slowly off the drugs. So I go home and decide, now we're going to cold turkey the drugs. If I'm asking these guys to quit, surely I can do it. So I stopped the drugs. Probably, maybe not one of the smartest things I've done. First 10 days, 10 pounds lost. Shakes, sweats, chills, coat, carried a little vomit bucket around with me. As my friend, you didn't travel too far without the bucket. You never knew when it was going to happen. Now we're at the last episode. 3 years ago, I'm at home, for goodness sakes. I asked Morgan, but she can't get her to do anything. So I'm mowing my grass, and I like to do 2 or 3 things at once. I usually listen to books on CD while I'm mowing, and I get hungry. So I go in the house and grab an apple. I come back out, jump on the mower. It's one of those 0 turn mowers. You do this, you go left, you do that, you go right. So I tend to drive the mower as fast as it'll go, because you can get done fast. So, but I'd forgotten, every time I took the apple to take a bite, you let go of the thing, you go this way or that way. So I stopped the mower, and instead of going in the house and eating, I crammed the apple all in my mouth. Now, these are probably things you should write down as not to do. Remember, throat cancer, I had a restricted throat from that. So I looked like a chipmunk sitting there with all those big chunks of apple. I'm driving the mower as fast as it'll go. I hit a bump, and boom, all of a sudden, I can't breathe. I got a big chunk of apple in my throat. I got 5 acres, so I was about as far away from the house as you could be. So I'm out there, and I've got my finger digging the rest of the apple out of my mouth, and I can't get to the guy that's way down. I mean, not a drip of air coming through. It is intense. I'm looking around, I don't see anyone. So I thought, I can't run to the house. When you run, you need air. So I got on the mower and zipped as fast as that thing would go to the house. I run in the house. My wife's in the kitchen. Of course, it's been over a minute now. Hold your breath for over a minute. See what's up. I run in and I do this. She goes, oh no, you're having a heart attack. I'll call 911. So, remember, I can't talk. So I run over the side of her and go, and she stayed, so I grab her arms, put it around me, Heimlich, right? We want the Heimlich. So she does this a couple of times, and because of my muscular build, she doesn't have enough strength to do anything. So we're way past a minute and a half now. And I thought, well, this could be it. After all this time, you big stoop, you're going to die in your front yard choking on an apple. And I did it almost appropriate. So I remember, I was an Eagle Scout training, first day, it started popping through my mind. Of course, that was 50 years ago. And I remember you could give yourself a self-Heimlich by leaning over a chair. Well, I thought about that. That's not going to work. Whoever wrote that's a good one. So, well, you got to do something, big boy. So I ran out. I don't know why I ran outside. I ran outside, and I do this. I get both fists, and as hard as I can do, I go pow, right there, right below the rib cage, and I cough. And guess what? Nothing happened. Zip. Nada. I go, well, this is it. It's over. Wonder what they'll say about me. So I thought, well, you got one more shot at this, and then it's over, because you got no gas in the tank valve. So one last, as hard as I could go, and beep, it flies out. God has a purpose for you. He has a purpose for me. He has a purpose for you that only you can perform. And this purpose calls for participation. You've got to do something. You've got to participate. And the more you participate, the more His plan for you will increase. The more His plan increases for you, the more opportunities you'll have to experience God's presence. Nothing comes close to the feeling of completeness that accompanies God's presence. We need to always stay encouraged. Remember this. I want you to dance like nobody's watching. I want you to sing like you're in the shower. Always remember this. Jesus loves you. This I know. For the Bible tells me so. I'm so weak, but He is so strong. Think about this. You see it. A 68-year-old old fart standing up here in front of you, singing that little ditty. Jesus loves you, this I know. He gets stirred up. It's real. It's real.
Thank you, Mr. Haddad, for sharing that. And absolutely, tons of life lessons there to be learned. We got just a few announcements, and I'm going to actually have Mr. Coots come up here before we have you guys go, and I'll give you some instructions with that. What we're going to do here, one, remember there's some signage back at that table there, flash mob and mission walk opportunities to take advantage of those. Sign up for those. If you don't get to it there or whatever, if there's still some spots left open, I'll just leave it posted outside of my office for that. What we're going to do with the chairs here in just a moment after